Yo, Otaku Koda here. Today we're going to be reviewing The Reluctant Preacher. It was a funny, frustrating, heartfelt, and surprisingly relatable show. Shizuka Irumi was easily my favorite part. I relate to her so much. She just wants to go to work, do her job, get paid, and go home. I relate to that so much. But somehow she keeps getting dragged into everyone else's problems. Her constant why am I the only one who has to deal with this attitude was painfully relatable. She doesn't even want to be the heroic teacher who fixes everyone's lives, yet somehow she keeps getting up in that position. That part especially hit home for me because I used to teach at a college. Teaching might be a job on paper, but anyone who's actually done it knows that sometimes you're helping students with things that go way beyond academics. I've been in that position of having students come to me with personal problems, struggles, and situations that weren't technically part of my job. You might be thinking, how did I get involved in this? But at the same time, you care about your students, so it's hard to just turn them away and to turn a blind eye. So watching Suzuka repeatedly get dragged into her students' lives felt very familiar. Sometimes you're trying to teach the lesson you planned for the day, and then suddenly you're dealing with something completely unrelated, because a student trusts you enough to come to you. I loved her preaching moments, watching someone who desperately doesn't want to get involved finally reach her breaking point and unload everything she's been thinking. It's incredibly satisfying. Moriguchi Sensei, I hated this man. Every time he showed up and started talking, I immediately was annoyed and wanted to punch him in the face. But that hatred is also a huge compliment to Atsushi Ito's acting. If a character can make you genuinely despise seeing his face on screen, that actor absolutely nailed the role. Moriguchi was the kind of antagonist where I kept waiting for someone to finally put him in his place. He was so frustrating that it made the moments where people stood against him even more satisfying. I also like Shizuka wasn't portrayed as some perfect inspirational teacher. Half the time she doesn't want to inspire anyone. She gets irritated, wants to avoid responsibility, and would probably love for everyone to stop making their problems her problems. Having actually been a teacher made me appreciate that even more. Teachers aren't these endless patient superheroes who always knows exactly what to say. They're people, sometimes you're tired, sometimes you're frustrated, and sometimes you have absolutely no idea how you became responsible for the situation unfolding in front of you. But you still care. And I think that's what made Shizuka work for me. She can complain about being dragged into these situations all she wants, but when someone genuinely needs her, has a hard time just walking away. I can relate to that from my own time teaching, so that is very relatable to me. And that's probably why I connected with her so much. Sometimes you don't go looking for responsibility. Responsibility finds you and says, "Congratulations, this is your problem now." Final thoughts. So it was a really enjoyable J-drama with the protagonist I found extremely relatable, especially as someone who has actually taught college students and learned firsthand that being a teacher can mean helping students with far more than what's written in the curriculum. Add in some satisfying emotional moments and a villainous teacher, I wanted to launch directly into the sun. And I had a great time with it. So if I really had to give this a rating, I would give it an 8.5. But I definitely recommend you give it a watch if you're into some J-dramas. It is on Netflix, so definitely recommend you give it a watch. That's all I have for you. I'll see you next time. Signing out.